Hello everyone, it's me John, and this video, I'm not sure which channel I'm going to be uploading this on. The reason why I'm saying it like that and starting a video like this is, obviously with my vlog channel, I try to kind of keep things away from my interest in hobbies, to try and keep my vlog channel a different kind of experience of viewership nowadays. Like, yeah, I try to keep things a little bit different there, and not try to go down too much of talking about my interests and hobbies and that. So this potentially could be on either one. So whatever channel you're watching this on, that's the channel, of course, I've decided to or chosen. Um, but yeah, recently I made a vlog or discussion video, and I was reminiscing about the simple good old days. First of all, I would just like to say a big thank you to Lawrence, my good friend Lawrence S1990 on YouTube, who did a great response to that video. So thank you very much. I didn't do it as an intended thing to have a response to it, but thank you all the same. It's good to, because obviously me and Lawrence, obviously there's a slight difference in when we were born, but we kind of have a very similar kind of upbringing or what we used to watch and things we used to watch, and obviously we're both 90s kids in the end of the day, so it's good to kind of get someone else's perspective. So thank you very much to you, my friend, for taking the time to do that. So today's video is kind of in the realms of animation or cartoons, classic cartoons, the stuff I used to watch when I was younger, and some of the stuff that I still revisit even now. I'm not going to shy away and say, because some people kind of frown upon people at a certain age, of watching cartoons still at a young age, stuff that's more meant for a younger demographic. Same with Disney films, DreamWorks, Pixar, you name it, don't matter. There is some people that have a bit of a narrow-minded conception of, they have a narrow-minded mindset when it comes to it. My dad's one of those people. My dad doesn't get why. I mean, end of the day, I could be watching anything. Just because it's animated doesn't necessarily mean it's meant for a young person. But my dad thinks if it's animated, it's meant for a child. Recently, because I was watching Family Guy. Funnily enough, when I was watching Family Guy episode, my dad was on his laptop here, and I noticed he was watching along with it, and he went, so something was said. Basically, Peter and Lois were in bed together, and it was one of those scenes. And but I was like, that was a bit near the knuckle, wasn't it? And I went, yeah. And I went, that's like, what if the young kids saw that? My dad was like, what if the young kids saw that sort of thing? And I went, well, this is Family Guy. It's known as adult animation. It's not really meant for kids of a certain age. It's meant for teens or older. So that's the kind of thing. Obviously, my dad's from a different era. My dad's obviously a different era. So his concept when it comes, adult animation, or animation was animation back in his day. It was kind of like, some stuff was very near the knuckle and everything, even back then. The way that they used to go about stuff back in the olden days, back in like the 60s and before that, they used to kind of throw things in there that only the adults would know. Kind of the same with how Disney, the classic Disney stuff, there was like innuendo stuff in there that only the adults would know. The kids wouldn't really understand, but the adults do, because that's exactly why they do that. They put stuff in there for the older people, the families, the parents or the grandparents or aunts and uncles, whatever it may be, you know, taking their kids or taking a young person to go and see a film, they put stuff in there on purpose because they know there's going to be there's going to be people, a family going out for seeing a film or whatever. There's going to be someone older with the younger person, of course. So quite a lot they put little innuendo things in there because, and that's for them, you know, because they're the only one, because they're old enough to understand what that means, you know, that sort of thing. So to say animation or cartoons are meant for, well, yes, don't get me wrong, cartoons are indeed meant for a younger demographic. The normal cartoons, like your normal cartoons that are on Cartoon Network, for instance, or whatever. Yeah, they are obviously meant for kids that are relatively quite young. And then obviously you got your preschool stuff, which is like, you know, learning, you know, like Sesame Street and things like that. That kind of thing is obviously meant for preschoolers. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, Sesame Street used to be absolutely fantastic. I used to watch that when I was a kid. But you know, I mean, that's not the point of the video today, or the discussion is kind of going down that road of, you know, talking about how some people's thought process about someone that's of a certain age still watching stuff that's obviously meant for a younger person. You know, unfortunately, you're not going to change some people's thought process around that. You know, it's just one of those things. Some people get it, some people don't. A lot of people still revisit the old classics, like classic Disney. You know, you'll have people that have having a family that have got young kids that remember a lot of this stuff and, you know, introduce it to a younger person. You know, that does happen a lot. I mean, I'm not shy, you know, about expressing my thoughts on anything animated. You know, I'm very open on social media, talking about stuff that I used to watch and watching currently, new stuff. And I have quite a varied interest in animation as a whole, to be honest with you. I love animation as a whole. It's a medium of entertainment that I've always been fascinated with, and you know, I love my stop motion. Stop motion is probably one of my favourites because there's not as much stop motion stuff produced nowadays. I think there's only like 2 or 3 places that still specialise in that. That specialise in stop motion animation. There's not that many. I'm aware of Leica. I love Leica animation. I think their stuff's fantastic. And I'm aware of say Aardman, who did Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run and all that. You know, they're still about. There's another one as well. The company that works on Tim Burton's stuff. I've forgotten who it was. I can't remember. There's another one as well that still do it, that works on Nightmare Before Christmas and all that. But yeah, you know, I like obviously anime as well. I'm a big fan of anime, Japanese animation. I'm also, I used to watch some animated series that was produced in France. I used to watch a series called Code Lyoko when I was younger, back in when I was like my I think it was like late childhood to early teens when that aired back in the day. So I used to watch Code Lyoko. I mean, what's interesting as well is a lot of stuff there was a lot of influence stuff back when I was a kid. You know, like, you can tell the people that created it had an interest in other animation styles, and there was a lot of like Avatar, the last Airbender, for instance. You know, that when that came out back in like 2005, 2006. a lot of people, even to this day, still think it's an anime, as in produced in Japan, and it's not. it's a Western cartoon. It's a Western. It's an American produced series. Even though it does have influence in the Japanese art style, the way the Japanese and Koreans and the way they kind of go about drawing characters, the very out there kind of like the big eyes and all that kind of thing. It's very, 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 very styled and fashioned over that sort of animation style. And you find that there is quite a lot of shows that are like that. You got like Samurai Jack, for instance. Samurai Jack was very, very, very pretty much kind of like an American anime. I would call that kind of an American anime because, it was, even though again it was a Western animated produced animated series, again for Cartoon Network and Toonami. But that series was very oriental. It was obviously Samurai Jack, the main character's Japanese from Japan, from the past, and he gets sent to the future by Aku, and he has to kind of go on this journey to basically find his way back and all that and defeat Aku, and so animation I am a huge fan of. I've got quite a broad spectrum of what I watch and what I like. I would say my favourite animation style is hand-drawn cell animation is my favourite, because that's the classic old original way of doing it. Because that's the stuff that I grew up with. Hand-drawn cell animation is what I grew up with back in the 90s. That was still being produced. Beautiful watercoloured backgrounds, and obviously the characters were animated, painted cells, and they had these special camera rigs with panels, and that's how they would like layer on top of each other loads and loads of different panels, and that's how it moved, and that's how they kind of did the animation for Snow White, and Disney did for Snow White and Jungle Book and all those classic ones. It was all cell, painted backgrounds with cell frames to make the scenes. But unfortunately, obviously, time's moved on, and time has moved on with animation, and tradigital animation's kind of taken over, which is obviously, for those that know will know those, but tradigital obviously is traditional animation methods, but with digital touch-ups. It's basically kind of it's more drawn and done in a computer with computer software, more digitally done, but they are still, the characters are all still hand drawn, but it's all done through a computer. And also there could be a little bit of CG or a little bit of touch up here or there as well. And obviously you've got your 3D animation, like your Pixar stuff and the Disney stuff being produced now. So yeah, it's gone through a lot of different ways from the golden age to now. But I'm a big fan of most of it. There's some stuff that I don't like, don't get me wrong. I haven't watched, I'm not going to sit here and claim I've seen every single thing animated in history. Of course I haven't. But I have sampled a fair bit of animation over the years, and I have quite a broad spectrum when it comes to that. And a lot, I like to draw myself, and a lot of the stuff I draw is characters from stuff from my childhood, stuff I'm watching currently, new stuff. So I do draw a lot of inspiration when it comes to my artwork. Well, if you can even call it artwork, my sketches, as it were. But yeah, it's just, the point of the video today is you know, discussing the past again, reminiscing about animation, you know, the stuff I used to watch when I was a kid, and also kind of like talk about a little bit of where things are now. You know, the mindset of kids nowadays is totally different. Similar to what I said in the previous video I did on my vlog channel, my discussion, reminiscing about my childhood, and you know, talking about the good old days, and old, you know, when the old Nokia phones came out, and back in like the early 2000s and all that, and old video game systems that I used to love as well. But yeah, it's, you know, it's just reminiscing is a thing, you know. I'm trying to kind of get to the point in my head at the moment, but excuse me. But no, it's just, I feel, you know, kids today, I kind of feel for kids today in a way, because obviously, you know, they've been born in a time where technology is massively improved. Video games are much more improved. The stuff they watch is much more improved, and you know, CGI's grown a lot since, and animation's changed, and well, I won't say it's changed that much, but it has changed a lot in regards to what I remember in quality, and things of that nature. There's maybe a couple of series that I would say are pretty decent. There's some really interesting stuff being produced on Netflix, actually, and Amazon Prime. A lot of interesting original stuff, which I do enjoy as well. But, you know, it's just, you know, going back to when I was a kid, and obviously, like I say, I'm a 90s kid. So, you know, some people will be like, well, you know, the good thing about being back in the 90s, and also back in the early 2000s as well, is, and also a great thing that we had Sky when I was a kid as well. It was thanks to that why I have such a broad understanding of a lot of different things, because a lot of stuff got re-aired. A lot of stuff got re-aired and everything during the 90s and the early 2000s, and that's why I know of things like He-Man, Tom and Jerry, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, a lot of Hanna-Barbera's classic stuff, the original Tom and Jerry, the original Looney Tunes, yeah, all sorts of stuff was thanks to it being re-aired and reshared through Sky. Because I used to, obviously, Boomerang was one of my favourite channels when I was a kid, also in my teens as well, early teens. And I remember Cartoon Network this channel started relatively quite later on. But I remember when it launched, and Boomerang was fantastic. Boomerang, because Cartoon Network, so for those that may not know, Cartoon Network was originally Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera was obviously the people that obviously produced like the original Scooby-Doo, Captain Caveman, Hong Kong Phooey, Top Cat, the Jetsons, the Flintstones, you know, all sorts of different stuff like that, which is what they did, a lot of their classic stuff. And Hanna-Barbera were those people, and Hanna-Barbera changed, and it became Cartoon Network. Basically, all the rights and assets are owned by Cartoon Network now. And that's obviously through the people that worked in the latter years of Hanna-Barbera kind of moved into, you know, I don't know if they're still there or not, but, you know, that's the progression of how things went. And, you know, so it's kind of like, thanks to Boomerang, I grew up with I managed to check out a lot of the stuff from back when my parents were kids. You know, stuff that was on in the 60s and all that. And obviously the classic Tom and Jerry, I think, was 40s or 50s. I think original Tom and Jerry. And then obviously there was Tom and Jerry Kids, which was another series I used to watch. You know, so you know, it was great to kind of have that vastness. You know, like watching cartoons from years ago, watching cartoons of that time period, that time point. And also Disney as well. They had a couple channels. Obviously, you had the original Disney Channel, and then there was another channel, that Disney Channel that they launched, which again played a lot of their classic stuff like Tailspin and you know, a lot of their. I think it was called Toon Disney. I think it was, and on that channel they used to go down the route of their older stuff, which had probably in the 80s through to the early 90s. So that's how I kind of like got to know a lot of the classic stuff like the Goof Troop and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just I have such an interest. You know, I'm kind of glad I was born when I was. Part of me kind of wishes I was born a little bit earlier. Like, it would have been great if I was born in the early 80s. Because it would have been great to have grown up with all the stuff like the original Transformers series and TMNT, and it would have been great to see all that at first hand when it was airing at first hand. But it's one of those things you can't help out when you're born, can you? It's one of those things. But no, I mean, the 90s was a great decade as well. The 90s was a great decade as much as the 80s when it came to the cartoons, and there was a lot of variety because, like I said, there was re-airing stuff from the past, and there was also some really good stuff airing. Like, seriously, I mean, it was that good that I pretty much enjoyed everything that was on TV. You know, there was a couple of things that didn't really take my fancy. I didn't really. There was some stuff like the live action drama stuff that was aimed at kids at the time. Some of it I used to watch, some I didn't. The live action drama stuff, I kind of wasn't really into that stuff as much. I was more into the cartoons, the animation. Because some of the drama stuff, like the actual live action drama, kids dramas, some of them were really shit. Some of them were better than others. But you know, I used to obviously grow up with Nickelodeon stuff as well, like Rugrats and what else? The Weekenders. I think it was on. Oh, that's Disney Weekenders. Yeah, no, I'm trying to remember now what was on. Oh yeah, I remember Nickelodeon. They also kind of went into the anime, Japanese animation stuff. They had Card Captors. They also had Sailor Moon. Yeah, and for a time, I think they had a contract for the. Did they have a contract for some Power Rangers stuff as well? I remember Power Rangers being on Fox Kids and Jetix as well. Obviously Disney also. Yeah, it's a bit confusing because I remember certain stuff that was on other channels and then there was on other channels. You know, they were kind of mixed matched. Because I do know, because obviously Power Rangers, it's gone through like it's gone through like 3 or 4 different ownerships over the time. Originally it was Saban, then Disney took over from Saban, and then Saban bought it back from Disney, and then Hasbro took over, and Hasbro are currently in charge of it now. So yeah, so it's gone all over the place with where certain things have. But you know, I do have a huge appreciation and love for the stuff that I grew up with. I mean, you know, like Dexter's Lab, Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, I Am Weasel. I used to love I Am Weasel. My favourite character has to be Devil. The character, I think he was called Devil. No, Cow. It was in Cow and Chicken, I think. Yeah, Cow and Chicken and I Am Weasel. Cow. So there was some really weird and out there stuff. And Ren and Stimpy. How the hell I got away with that? I don't know. Doug. Oh man, there was some really great stuff. And then obviously I used to watch the Transformers stuff like Beast Wars and but I'm not going to go down that road. I've spoken quite a lot about Transformers stuff. But you know, obviously I grew up with Transformers as well, of course. All the different versions of TMNT, the original series, and then they brought it back, I think in 06, there was the 06 series, which I have more of a memory of, because I used to watch that a lot. And then they brought it back, I think was it 2012, with another series, which I really like. But the more recent series I don't like, because I don't like the animation style. You know, this is the thing as well with me. Animation style is key. But at the same time, you've got to, there's two sides of the coin. Is animation quality is certainly something that, you know, is to the eye. How the characters are drawn and the animation, the quality of the animation is certainly something that draws the attention of the viewer. It certainly does. In my case, it certainly does anyway. But just because something looks aesthetically pleasing doesn't necessarily mean the story is going to be any good. And there has been some of that where it looks beautiful, but the story is not very original, and the character development isn't very good. You know, there has been that problem, and then you get a series where the animation looks really weird and rough and really weird, but yet the writing's fantastic. Or then you get, very rarely, there has been some great examples of this, but it is quite rare where both the animation and the story are both fantastic. You know, the series is just a perfect blend. You know, because as well, you know, because obviously I grew up through the Toonami era when it first launched here in the UK. I want Toonami back. I want Toonami back in the UK. Bring it back on TV, but I don't think they will. It's weird because there is a big fan base. There is a lot of people in the UK that love anime. Of course, there isn't going to be as many in the UK fans as there is in America, because obviously America's a bigger country, of course, because a lot of stuff goes through North America, where it gets dubbed and done in English or subtitled or whatever. A lot of the companies that work on Japanese animation, when it comes to the dub side or English translation side, is all done in North America, either Canada or Texas. It's used mostly Texas. Obviously Crunchyroll's taken all over that now, and High Dive. It's Crunchyroll and High Dive that I would say are the two big monopoly companies at the moment when it comes to English dubbed stuff and anime and getting it out there to people. But no, it's just, I have such an interest in animation, of all spectrum. I'll give anything a chance. If it doesn't appeal to me, it doesn't appeal to me. It's one of those things. But I always try and give everything a chance, no matter what it is. I mean, you know, it's just one of those things. Is that I try to give things the benefit of the doubt. I try and watch something, you know, because you can't always judge everything by face value, which I understand. So if something doesn't strike me when it comes to the animation side, I try and watch it and see what the story's like, what the writing's like. But if it just doesn't work for me, then I'll just won't bother watching, or what, you know, just drop it, sort of thing. But it's very rare that I drop a series. I always try to watch the entire thing. If I watch a series, I always try and watch the full thing. That's just me. Some people are different. Some people are like, well, you know, this isn't for me. They'll drop it, and they'll probably never go back. You know, it's kind of like the whole debate around Beast Wars as well, which is one of those things I've spoken about. I mean, I'm not going to go down this tangent too much in this video, because I have spoken about Beast Wars a lot over the years. But Beast Wars is one of those prime examples where, yes, the CGI, the animation is very dated. You have to understand that CG animation was very, very young. Before Beast Wars, there was only one other series that was done in complete full CGI, and that was Reboot, by the same company, Mainframe, I think they were called. And so basically, yeah, Reboot and Beast Wars were the first two animated TV shows. It's 3D animated, or CGI, or 3D, whatever. Back in the day, and it was still very primitive. There was a lot of stuff they couldn't do, which you've got to understand is that it's a product of its time when it comes to the animation. However, it makes up for it in leaps and leagues with the writing. And you know, you've got the amazing Simon Fairman, you've got Sue Blue, who was the ADR director, voice director. You've got an incredible voice cast. Some great writers were part of it. You know, Simon Fairman, obviously, he did the finale of Beast Wars. You know, so you know, there was some great talent a part of that, and you can tell there was behind the scenes. It's just, unfortunately, a lot of people dropped it because the animation wasn't very good, or it didn't appeal to them animated wise. But yet the story is incredible. But it's one of those things. It's each to their own. You know, it's people have their opinions about things. If something doesn't, if the animation doesn't strike them or doesn't interest them, then you know, they probably just won't bother watching or won't pay much attention to the story. But for me, it's strong characters, good character development, a good setting, interesting setting and world are the things that really interest me the most over the animation. But at the same time, I do love some beautiful artwork, and that's why I'm a big fan of Japanese animation. I'm not saying, before I start getting angry comments, there is some beautifully animated stuff that's obviously produced in America as well. And some really great animation from America, and also, you know, classic stuff that was produced here in the UK. And you know, there's some fantastic stuff like Western animation. There certainly is, and I'm a big fan of that as well. But for me, Japanese animation, it holds my attention a lot more than other types of animation. Yes, don't get me wrong, there is some really weird stuff, some fucked up stuff, because obviously you've got a different culture altogether, different ways of going about life. But yet there is some incredibly well told stories a part of the anime thing, Japanese animation. There's some incredibly well done animations. You know, and it goes through all spectrum of genre as well, sci-fi, action, comedy, yeah, you know, all sorts of, basically everything, every sort of genre, you've got an anime a part of that genre. So so I'm a big fan of that for, as well, because I'm not very picky with what I watch. I'm not gonna, I watch something that's known as a slice of life anime, which is something that's obviously more based in reality, and it's usually always based around a school or something. It usually is, or it's maybe based around a sport like basketball or whatever. And then obviously I like my mecha stuff as well, which is like, your Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam, Evangelion. Even though arguably people say, is it mecha or is it not? But it technically is mecha, but it's not at the same time. It's like it's two mediums in one. It's like, yeah. I love my cyberpunk stuff as well. Some really cool stuff for cyberpunk stuff from Japan, like Ghost in the Shell. And there's another one as well that I'm forgetting, Appleseed. That's another one. There's loads of stuff that I've watched. I love my horror stuff as well. I love my Japanese horror. I love Japanese horror. I love South Korean horror as well. But there's some really twisted, sick stuff, some really weird stuff that Japan produced over the years. Some stuff that, yeah, wow, they just did that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to defend it completely. There is some really weird stuff, especially when they kind of go into like weird things, which of course I don't support, of course. But like I say, it's a different culture and it's a different way of life, and things have changed a little bit over the years with Japan, but they're still a little bit the same when it comes to certain things. And I don't need to really spell it out to people what I'm meaning. I think if you understand what I'm on about, you'll know what I'm saying. But for the most part, there is some fantastic stuff. You can pick and choose it. Not everyone's going to watch the stuff that I watch. If you're into something where, big giant robots are your thing, there's plenty of big giant robot stuff out there or anything to do with robots or robotics or cybernetics, all that kind of stuff. There's loads of stuff for Japan, or Japanese animation, loads of stuff for that. Or if your thing's more action adventure, there's loads of stuff for that. Like I say, I've got a very broad spectrum of interests. I like my spiritual stuff, anything to do with ghosts, spirits, ghost stories, horror, sci-fi. Like I say, anything to do with robots, robotics, cybernetics, anything like that. Yeah. Anything like that is my jam, and anything that just appeals to me. Also, I love my comedy as well. So so I have a very broad spectrum. I feel a lot of Japanese animation has a good blend of the comedy side and then the seriousness side. A good message or a couple of decent good messages in there. Because, I find that there's a good message in a lot of stuff that they produce. Like, believe in yourself, believe in others, believe in yourself, believe in others, believe in your own strength. If you train hard, you will get where you want to be. That kind of stuff. There's loads of different messages a part of it. And also, as well, I've got to say, there's some good messages in a lot of Western animation as well. Kind of to believe in yourself, all that kind of stuff, and also talking, tackling the thing of bullying, being made to feel like you're, different to other people, but that kind of thing. And a lot of stuff, a lot of animation goes down that road, which I do respect. I like it when a series tackles real life issues. I do like that as well, because I find some stuff kind of shies away from that. But I like it when they kind of go into that thing where, like, the main character is being bullied, or the main character is, similar to myself, because a lot of times when obviously I'm going on a tangent here, but when it comes to animation and what appeals to me as a character is, I also kind of like to, sometimes in a lot of the characters and a lot of the stuff I've watched, I see a little bit of myself in there, in that person. And of course, I'm not the only one. A lot of people have that same feeling that they might see a little bit of themselves in there. It could be their sense of humour, that character's sense of humour, or how that person comes over, or if that character is a little bit introvert, like he's a bit of an introvert and he don't know how to socialise or how to talk or to make friends. I've been there. I've been that person, so I can relate. Also, I've been bullied as well, so I can relate to that. I think nearly everybody on the planet, unfortunately, has been bullied at one point. So that's something I always look for when it comes to a character. It's like, when I'm watching it, like, can I relate to that person? Like that kind of thing. And sometimes I don't relate to them, but at the same time, I still watch on. But there's little things that I look for from a character, and how a series comes over, and how the characters intermingle with one another. But so there's all sorts of factors in play. But what really attracts me to animation is good characters, good world and setting. Whether it's like an alternate world, alternate dimension, space, anything like that. It doesn't, that's cool and all, but it's mostly how well the chemistry is between the characters, and how really good villains as well. I mean, come on, you've got to love a good villain. We hate them in reality, but the villains are usually pretty cool in a story. Some really twisted ones as well. But yeah, so I mean, I'm a big, and like I say, I'm gonna end this video now. But that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss, is talk about animation and what I used to love, the shows I used to watch, my preferences when it comes to animation. And I don't really have many different, I pretty much, I have quite a, broad spectrum preference-wise. I'll try anything. If it doesn't hold my attention, then it's something that just doesn't work for me. But I always try and give anything that I watch, or whether in the past or now, I just give it a go and give it the benefit of the doubt. There's been some times where I've been really pleasantly surprised, and there's been some times where I've been a bit, okay, move on. I mean, I still revisit a lot of the classic stuff even now. Like I say, I'm slowly but surely kind of getting a very classic collection of animation cartoons. I've got Ed, Edd and Eddy now. I've got the complete series of Ed, Edd and Eddy, another Cartoon Network series I used to love. I've got pretty much all of the Transformers stuff except for Robots in Disguise 2015, because I just don't like that series. I just don't like it. I think that's it. Is that? Oh yeah, obviously I don't have F-Spark either, but I don't think that's been released on physical. I don't think that's been even announced for a physical release yet. But I have got quite a lot of all that. And also I've got quite a lot of anime as well. I've got shitloads of anime, Japanese animation, from like dating back to the 80s, right through to current last few years. Yeah, so and also I've got, like I say, my stop motion is another, like I mentioned stop motion a little bit before, but I love my stop motion. You don't see much of it because it's a specialised type of animation, and there's not as many. Stop motion is not really as widely used as it used to be, because obviously stop motion was all part of original animation. You've got like a panel fully finished panel, and then another panel on top, another panel on top. You know, each time you do that, you take a frame, and that's basically how you build, make the characters move. So, you know, the whole stop motion idea it has kind of been widely used in animation, both as a stop motion thing with puppets, actual hand built puppets, and also used in traditional animation. There we are. You know, the methods like Studio Ghibli did that, used to do that, or still do that now. A lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff, or Ghibli, however you want to pronounce it, you know, their stuff is still hand-drawn, beautifully watercoloured backgrounds, hand-drawn characters, and it's kind of like flipbook style, what I call flipbook style, where basically each frame is hand-drawn by someone, usually Miyazaki or whoever else, and you know, kind of like hand-drawn scene, that another piece of paper goes over that, slightly different, and another, and that's how it works. So stop motion techniques are like an age-old thing. They've been around since, well, I don't know, since the 30s, 40s. You know, but I absolutely love my stop motion stuff, and whenever I see anything stop motion, I'm like, ooh, like. But yeah, you don't see very much now. I mean, like I say, Leica kind of like, you know, Leica and Aardman are the only two companies that I've seen are still doing it. But yeah, there we have it. That's today's video. Thank you so much for watching. This has gone on for quite a while. I'm not going to edit this. I'm going to upload it as it is. I know people kind of don't like it when I go on tangents and make very long videos, but and also there's an attention span thing as well. Some people obviously don't have the time to sit down and watch me yammer on for like nearly an hour. But no, it's just animation is a thing that I could talk for hours about. I could literally talk for hours and hours and hours about, and obviously I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to bore you. But yeah, it'd be interesting again if get other people's perspective on this, either in the comments or if anyone wants to do a video response. But yeah, cartoons and animation, stuff from my childhood, and even the stuff that I watch now, my preferences, what I like when it comes to characters, my setting and genres and subgenres. You know, I give everything a chance, and I've been surprised by quite a few times. You know, experimenting with different things. But anyway, thank you very much. I'll be back with more videos very soon, and take care of yourselves, everyone, and yeah, take care of yourselves, and thank you for watching.